Hello, one and all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown. With me for the very first time is Rashawn Scott. Say hi, Rashawn Scott.
Hi, Rashawn Scott.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining me, the first of the cast to sit down and talk about this. A season I thought, I'm going to really enjoy. I didn't expect a season of it's going to terrify me to my core and anxiety levels that I cannot, I've seen episode 6 now, which is the puzzle map room. I had to take a walk after I finished the episode because I was just I need a moment. Before we dive into Burrow's End, though, I would love to know sort of a general how you came to drop out. And I think I have just this may not be a very good question. How the fuck does musical improv work? It's the most mind-boggling thing to me in the world. Like a skill set that is so impressive and incredible, and I am in awe of you every second of every day.
Well, musical improv, it makes so much sense to me because I have huge improv background. I was doing improv in high school. I grew up in Tacoma, Washington, Pacific Northwest, girly. I was in theater classes and all that. And then in college, I joined my college's improv team, and we were just improvising constantly. So we had lots of reps. And then I was in a band. I was also in band, and music has always been a part of my life. And then when I moved to Chicago, I started working at the Second City. So I was just getting reps, and I was singing a lot. As soon as I opened my mouth, they were like, "Oh, you can sing everything. Do it hilariously, please." So I did a lot of improvised songs there. So I'd get suggestions from the audience, or sometimes we'd have a band come and do our set, and then we would just vibe and play, because a lot of the same musical language improvisers use in telling a story, you have to blend with each other. You don't want to stand out too much because then you look like a jerk who's trying to pull focus from everyone. But then when you really blend together, you get something so fantastical and beautiful, and the audience is like, "How did you rhyme dog with log? You're the coolest person in the world." So having those skills, how I came to drop out was I got I realized that Sam Reich followed me on Twitter, and I was like, "What do you want?" why I don't know you. We've never met in person. Why would you follow my tweets? I don't tweet anything great. But Ross Bryant put my name in for this musical improv thing that they were doing. And so I got an email that was like, "Are you familiar with musical improv? And we're doing this thing called karaoke night." And that's really all they told me. And they asked me what are some musical artists that you like? So obviously Beyonce, Aretha Franklin, Tina Turner, all the divas I love. And I had been watching Dropout stuff, obsessed with D20, watched all of them. My personal dungeon master in my own home game was like, "Rashawn, you should check this out." And I just absorbed everything that I could. And I think that was last July was when we did the first karaoke night. I believe that's when we shot it. And it was so hysterically funny. And those honest reactions of "Oh, that book is just full of fake titles of real songs." When it flashed and it was just the question marks across and there were no lyrics, we're like, "Holy shit, they're really gonna have us do this." It was insane. And that was the first time I had met Sam or most of the crew or anything. They didn't know much about me. It was just someone had vouched for me. And I just, did my thing, blew them out the water as best I could.
And
got
succeeded.
My points.
Yeah, yes, and got your points. Yeah, I mean, I know, there's sort of not OG, but when Dropout first started, sure, crew, and this sort of there's a newer batch, and I feel like you're sort of a third wave of people who've hit that, for at least a lot of people like me, had discovered you through Dropout, and instantly you instantly became one of our favorites. I know when you're on you were on Breaking News this year, and obviously karaoke night part 2, as well as Play It By Ear. I know whenever people see you, I see it in the comments of "Oh, Rashawn is back," excitement of those things. And yeah, I it's still musical improv to me is just because I understand improv conceptually, but yeah, that musical improv to me is just such a different level of skill set.
And there's so many different ways to do it. There are like in any most improv theaters, they've got like a program that's their musical theater, and it's very much A B A B A C, like all the rhyming couplets and things too. But I think also we should be able to break that form, and that also like the creativity that can happen when we break the form, like we learn it to know that we can break the rules, that we can make something bigger. But I think that everybody can sing, everybody could do musical improv. I know this is very intimidating to some people. Like I love going to karaoke with people and they're like, well, I don't want to go after you, Rashawn. I'm gonna look lame. It's like, no, you're gonna look awesome because you're up there in the lights. You're putting on a show. No matter what you're doing, you're always putting on a show.
Yeah.
You can do it, Jordan.
I do I'm a karaoke fan. I don't know if I could do musical improv. I do like a good karaoke. A good
What's your
karaoke
song.
SOB by Nathaniel Ratcliffe and the Night Sweats. It's a bit you get to scream "son of a bitch" in the middle of it a whole bunch.
Son of a bitch.
Yep, that one. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's very fun to suddenly go "son of a bitch" like a whole bunch throughout the song.
It gets the crowd going.
Yeah, it's very fun. You you mentioned that you were in a home game, started watching D20, obviously then came to drop out. So I mean, I guess I mean that is also sort of that trajectory. How did that come about? Of like, hey, you're a brilliant improviser. Also, turns out you play D&D. You want to come sit in the dome for? I mean, I don't know how many days of shooting, but 10 weeks of production.
Well, it was originally supposed to be 4 weekends, and then there was some scheduling conflict, so it got truncated into a week. Ooh. So that was very interesting to do 10 shows in a week of like, we really got into it as fast as we could. But I remember like being on set for like Game Changer, for Make Some Noise, and be like, oh yeah, this is so great that we're doing all this musical improv, but hey, could someone tell Brennan that I would love to sit at the table? I've never met the man. I don't know him very well, and I don't want to DM him or anything because that's too personal, but somebody you guys all know. And cut to getting the email from Abria. Abria said that she had seen my work on Dropout and was like, she'd be cool to do it. I don't know if she's ever played D&D before, so I'll take a chance on her. And when we sat down for that first character creation, I remember coming into the room and no, back up. When I saw the email that said, hey, there was like a preliminary email that's like, hey, Rashawn, are you familiar with like tabletop games? Like role-playing games? And I go back, if this is for D&D, I am in. Do not play with me. Yes, whatever this is. And then I got the email that Abria was the GM, and it's like, oh my god, it's the 7, because the 7 is one of my favorite D20 seasons. And then I saw like who else was CC'd, and I was like, oh my god, Erika Ishii. Oh my god, Siobhan. Oh my god, Izzy. Oh my god, Brent. Wait, what are... And then Jasper, who I knew from Three Black Halflings, just like from afar. And I remember going into the character creation and I sat there and I go, if this is a joke, this is very mean and not what I would expect from you guys. But I'm so thankful to be here. And I found out that nobody had mentioned to Brennan that I wanted to play with him ever. So it was thank God for Abria and just seeing what she wanted.
Yeah, I mean, and now, I mean, you're in the dome. Once you've made it to the dome, like, invites, I think, just keep coming.
Please, I'm available and open to play in anybody's table. I would love it.
I am actually curious about that sort of character creation. What were some of your inspirations for Viola? Like, I know where name came from, which excellent choice.
Yes.
But yeah, what was sort of the character creation process? How did you come to land on her?
So I wanted to play, once we had figured out this like family dynamic, and I was kind of thinking more about the character and kind of went back to my old theater days of trying to find like intention, justification, like Viola wants power, and what will power do? Or she wants status. What does that mean for status within her relationship, status within her family, status amongst the children of the family? Where does she lie in the hierarchy of family? So I kind of leaned in a lot of like my own family dynamics, my mother has 5 sisters. So there is a lot of people trying to be the, big banana. So it was interesting to see like how can these family dynamics work. And because of like kind of the cult vibe, I know there's been some folks who are like praising online, I think, are praising too much of the cult culture, and I want to discourage any bad behaviors. I'm not trying to create any sort of culty thing. I don't want to encourage people to join them or do whatever. Live your life. But
very rarely are there violas and thorns in cults.
Yes, there's gonna be a big 180 happens. But I was watching Wild Wild Country, that documentary about a cult that had taken over a town in Portland or Eugene, Oregon. And there was always seems to be, when these big cult things, there's this magnetic leader who is, holistic and thinks that, we're going to bring this community together. But it always seemed that there was a woman behind the scenes who is actually running the show and is probably the most vicious one, who knows where, all the ammunition is, who knows where all the paperwork is, and kind of has a vision, but is being like sifted through her. I was also fascinated by the Nexium documentaries and just like how, just not the extremes that they go to, but just the way that they corral people and encourage them to do things, and what kind of person is susceptible to that. Was Viola she was enamored by Thorn. Like Jasper and I had a separate session to discuss like, what's this relationship like? Because I don't want to play like naggy, annoyed partners, because that's been done to death and that's not fun and dynamic, but to be as supportive as possible, to just see what the potential of this person. And I think we had landed on that Thorn was coming in and trading with our Burrow, and I became like the spokesperson to him. So we would go back and forth, and I would learn things about the outside, and he would make me laugh. And I mean, that's a good way to get me, Rashawn, on your side. Like, if you can make me laugh, if we can cackle together, we're going to be besties for life. And and because Jasper and I were the brand new people, we had like another level of like, okay, we're going to stick together, make sure like we support each other and have these big choices. And then he's rolling like dog shit this whole time. So it's kind of hard to stand by your man when he's rolling. He's getting excited over 5s. But I think the dynamic, it worked out well in the end. And then I made a Pinterest page that had what I thought stylistically I thought this character would look like, because it is informed by church lady, like that whole culture, because that's a whole nother hierarchy within church about like who is in charge and who's making decisions for the congregation. So it's a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah. Oh man, this is so tough because I have 3 things now that I want to like instantly jump onto that you just said, but we're just I'm gonna try to go in a logical order for me. Okay. Yeah, and you talked about like, so Jasper and you had a separate session. I was wondering if you and Brennan had a separate session to sort of develop a sibling dynamic as well.
Brennan and I didn't have a sibling session, but after, I think it was maybe the first meeting was like everybody on Zoom, because we had kind of a almost 2 session zeros, because we were all on Zoom once, and then another time where like half of us were in person because Jasper was still out of the country. And Brennan had asked me to join him and Izzy in one of their improv shows. So I performed their show Bigger with them. And that was like a great eye-opening thing of like, I've seen Brennan and Izzy perform, on the screen, but to be on stage and feel their energy of like, oh, okay, I can go big and silly, and they are going to support that. I feel like their style is so fun and engaging, and it made me miss like Chicago style improv, of just like balls to the wall. Let's just, rock it till the wheels fall off. This is hysterical. Like, there was a point where I think Brennan and I were competing, like aeroplanes, like fighter pilots, just like going after each other, and my glasses like slipped off my face, and I was like, I lost visuals. It was so hysterical. It helped me find my glasses. He's just a good dude. But yeah, that was the first time I'd like spent a long amount of time improvising with Brennan. And I hope that I was as engaged as possible, because there were times I was like, Rashawn, come back to your body. You're also sitting at the table. You're not just watching, and
Yeah,
you have to participate.
You're having the Hank Green out of body experience that he described during Mentopolis of like, oh right, I'm also here.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that vibe very much. Do you have siblings? Was that an easy?
Yes.
Okay, so like you had something to base it off of with Brennan.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of three, and I'm the only girl. So it's almost like I was an only child, but I wasn't, because I definitely had to be mama bear. I was like big sister, always put in charge. I have like 13 male cousins who are all around the same age. So as young kids, our parents would just like, I didn't go to summer camp. I was just like sent to my auntie's house for the summer. So running around with a bunch of boys who want to wrestle and punch and throw, and I'm just like, I just want to read. I just want to be left alone by myself. But I had to buck up on them sometimes, and just that dynamic also shapes things. So I see the Lila and the Jason relationship of like, oh, kids are just gonna like battle each other, but eventually they'll come back to each other with love. Like my brothers and I would so much conflict growing up, like, oh, we couldn't stand each other, but as soon as we moved away, it was like, oh, he's my best friend, I miss him. Yeah. So the whiplash of family.
Yes, the whiplash of family, a perfect tagline for this season. Going back to you and Jasper being your first time in the Dome.
Yeah.
I mean, surrounded by like Brennan, Abria, Siobhan, Erica, and Izzy. I mean, but especially like Brennan, Abria, Siobhan have been so much time in the Dome.
Yeah. And they make it feel fresh,
Yeah.
Like I can imagine it can get like, you've been, especially because they are half of them. Well, now Siobhan's, made partner track of being a GM. Like they've spent so much time telling story, and they don't get bogged down in it, and it's still fun and fresh to them, which I was so impressed by, because you can perform something over and over again, and you're just kind of going through the motions, but no, they are actively in it.
Yeah, and especially, especially like they're filming like this and Dungeons and Drag Queens and Mentopolis and Junior Year, all like in that same like small window. I was wondering. I mean, you said like a sort of out of body, like, oh, I'm here as well experience. Like, what was sitting down in the Dome for the first time like?
I have a great picture and a small little video, because as we were like relegated to a hallway of like, okay, you're going to walk in, these are your spots, getting excuse me, mics on and things, and everyone else, they've done it before, so they're bouncing around having a good time, and Jasper and I were like holding hands, like, okay, we're walking into the Dome for the first time, we're gonna sit down and we're not gonna freak out, and we're gonna be so chill, everything's gonna be cool, because now they have a permanent Dome space. It wasn't like they had to tear down the set each time, so it's literally the Dome's home. And we go in and we sit down, and I realize where I'm sitting. We're sitting across from each other, and then we both just start to cry because we're so overwhelmed. We're like, oh my God, we're here. I had like said to myself watching it, in the middle of the pandemic, just cracking up or like crying from some beautiful thing that had been presented to me. And I was like, I'm going to sit at that table. I don't know how it is going to happen. I don't know anybody in this production. They don't know who Rashawn is, and why would they? They're all cool New York people, and I'm just some like granola girl from Pacific Northwest, Tacoma stand-up. And it was just like, it was such a pure like, oh my gosh, we've made it. I feel like we were in nerd heaven. We really just got, and as we're weeping, Abria comes over and scoops the both of us up in this like beautiful hug. I just have a really nasty, snotty cry photo. And little did I know that was not going to be the last time that I cried.
Yes,
during
no,
this
production. I have tears in the Dome written down. I should say the first thing I have written on my notes is I am the one who fucks. Absolutely aces. I was grabbing the remote because I didn't hear what you had said. I was so happy Brennan like repeated it because I was like, I'm about to rewind to be like, Rashawn just made everyone die laughing, but like someone else was talking and incredibly, yes, sorry, go ahead.
Brennan is so, I think I said this out loud of like, you're so kind. I think I said it, I don't know what episode I said it, but he's done that maybe 2 or 3 times for me where like I said something under my breath and he's like, no, Rashawn, hysterical. Say it again. I'm going to double down. Everyone knows Rashawn said this. And
Hit your mark, say your line.
Yes. Yeah. I couldn't ask for a better big sister. Like,
yeah.
Brennan is my sister.
Amazing. But yeah, tears, like I think, I mean, I'm in a Discord with a bunch of people who are chatting about the episode every week. And yes, like your tears brought everyone to tears last week, myself included. Obviously you said not what you didn't expect that to come about.
No, when I was like, ooh, I get to do a Dimension 20 season, it's gonna be so wackety schmackety. I get to do my little ha-has. I always play a rogue or something in my personal games. I was like, oh, it'll be cool, just be shooting off shots. But no, they made it about family, which really hits a trigger for me. And we talked about that ahead of time of like, we're going to be talking about family dynamics, especially I have to give Erica praise for how they basically blanketed us in a safe space of like, I'm going to kind of push the mom thing. And if that is too much for you, please let me know and I will pull back. And even after I think I cried maybe 4 times, if I recall. 4 times. But it'd be like after the session, Jasper was like, hey, do you need a hug? Do you need to talk? Yeah. We really got into, it was like we were in the most immersive play I'd ever been in my life. It brought me back to theater school. Like, oh, we're just doing intense scene study with each other. And we're also giving each other moments to breathe and kind of like, let that go, because we also filmed this around Mother's Day, so we were just emotions were high.
Yeah, understandably so. And yeah, I mean, it takes that, like, because often D&D is the found family dynamic of this is like and actual family dynamic, yes. Like on top of that. Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time D20 has made me cry. I'm sure it won't be the last. Maybe not this season. But yeah, I just there are those like unexpected moments, I think. And I think in the episode you said it was Abria starting to cry that made you cry.
Yeah.
But I mean, just sort of just a powerhouse of experience and emotion from both of you, from everyone at the table. But like in that particular moment, just really, I drove home, like, I think why a lot of people love D20s, because we get incredible moments like that. So
yes. And that was something like I was when I was in acting school. It was always a lot about drama. It was always heavy stuff, and I'd always be like, "Oh, I would love to just be like comedic relief." But when I go to those places, I really connect. Like in my time at Second City, I was also there around 2016, so it's a lot of political unrest and things that were happening in Chicago, on a social level, like Laquan McDonald being shot, and just all of these protests. So I had to find humor in the humanity, literally by a day-to-day basis of like something new would happen, and I'd have to process that. So I would be able to get an audience on my side in laughter, and then not take the air out of the room, but make everybody, sit up and listen to what I had to say. And I had some tears, legitimate tears, and then would have to, jump back into the comedy and kind of inform people. And I think that is such a great skill that a lot of comedians have, that people think that we are clones that, do the yakety schmackety, but there is a lot of heart at what we're doing. And I do think some of the best dramatic actors are comedians.
Yeah, I fully agreed. And I think we've seen that, especially in recent years in TV and movies. We've seen an encouragement of like comedic actors taking dramatic roles, crushing it out of the park. Yeah, and as you said, like you expect like a D20 season to be silly little fun, and then it's emotional damage.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we're going to spiral back to the third thing that you mentioned, your looks for the season.
Yes.
Talk me through how much, like, how much input did you come to the makeup chair of like, this is what I want to look like, or did you like lay yourself in their hands? What was the creative process like for truly like next level makeup all the way through?
It was a little of column A and column B. Like Denise Valentine, the god, had done my hair and makeup for, I think, for most of the other dropout things that I had done. So we kind of developed a relationship with each other. And it is so, I'm so thankful that they have a Black female head of makeup and hair there, because I can walk on set and feel like I'm absolutely taken care of, and that we can take liberties. So it's like, okay, she knows the basic stuff, so now we can like go to the stratosphere. So I got an email from her about like, you know, what are some like ideas that you have, and I had made a Pinterest page of like, again, church lady stuff. So I was looking at lots of fascinators. This is long before Abria was like, you can't have clothes. Oh no, we can have sashes, but we can't have clothes or gloves. So I was like trying to circumvent all of those things. So I had lots of tool items that I saw on my things, very polka dotty, like those big church hats with like the see-through veil, and just kind of abstract makeup, because I don't personally go too all wild out with my makeup. Like when I like was playing around with drag, that's just more exaggerated stuff, but I just wanted it to be more abstract and animal, because Viola is this creature who is like, I think she would like throw her face into like a dandelion and be like, okay, I just did my whole face in one like fell swoop. So I was like, she would use berries, she would use like natural things to get some pigment. And I really liked when we started to add all of like the little prosthetics of the little beads of like cherries and twigs and things. And I had made those headpieces myself. Like I knew I wanted to have like the fascinator. It was like, oh, it's a piece of grass or something. So weeks before we started, because I knew we were doing 10, I was like, okay, I need to have 10 pieces of clothing that don't have stains on them, that I can sit in front of an HD camera and not feel like, oh God, my mom's going to be like, why didn't you iron your clothes? But I went to Joann's and I went through some like prototypes with cardboard and hair clips and hot glue and all of that. My mother is a crafter and an artist, so it's like natural to like, oh, I'm just gonna make it myself. So I made a bunch of them, and then when I brought my extra materials, some of the other hair artists were like, oh, well, we'll just make a new one to match whatever outfit vibe thing you were doing. And I was really glad that I kind of like went all the way in. It really informed the character for me, because I think that Viola is a lot more reserved than me personally, even though she does pop off at times. But it let me know that like she was a little presentational, and then when she can finally drop that and get to the nitty gritty, I think in the last episode when I think episode 5, when I hollered at Jasper a little bit, which I was like, oh, this is really me Viola coming out of her shell. But that was like good. Like we'd earned that bit of reveal. But I loved all the looks that we had done. Erica with the blood and the like scarring on the face, and Jasper's like lightning bolt just got more handsome the more he put more lighting on.
Very handsome. Like the lightning bolt, the tips of the white onto the eyelash. Ooh, a nice touch.
So good. And then like slowly we were like influencing everyone else. I was like, oh, Siobhan has a little stick in her hair. Cute. Izzy was like, zhuzhed her hair a little bit. Brennan had a different shirt on
Brennan had
each
a
time,
different shirt, yeah.
and he looks good, but he was so in it in his own way. But yeah, that was probably the most dressed up I'd ever been to play D&D in my life.
Yeah. I mean, understandably so. Yeah, I guess Brennan's saving it for Dungeons and Drag Queens. That's when he really puts on his makeup.
Honey,
I guess.
I died. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been to DragCon. We used to have like we made a drag fantasy league, me and my girlfriends back in Chicago. Shea Coulee used to come to my brunch all the time. Love the girls. I died when Izzy showed me the pictures like this before it got announced. I was just like, oh, you guys, you've made it. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Drop out. You guys can do literally anything. You got motherfucking Jujubee and Monet and Bob and Alaska.
Yeah,
Get out of here. And Jasper told
incredible.
me that he may have Shea Coulee on his show.
Ooh,
So
very exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, your looks, especially, I expect Abria to come with like that level of makeup. Not surprised when Erica like comes with that level either. But yeah, like you and Jasper, like first timers in the Dome, I think really the looks help cement as well. Like not that your performances in any way didn't, but like they belong here. They've owned this space, and like this is their Dome, and it felt
it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. And before every production, before the start of every day, there's a safety meeting, and there is a meeting of like joy. Like everyone, Mike Scheibach will say, everyone is supposed to be here. You are worthy. You are here at the exact time that you're supposed to be. It was just like so encouraging. Him and Carlos would just like pull me to the side and be like, how are you feeling? Is there anything that Viola you would like to do, or anything we may have missed? They were just so attentive, and you don't always get that on every production that you work on. Yeah. So again, these folks are so special and must be protected.
It fills me with so much joy. Yes, that's amazing. Speaking of safety, the email about the bear, how unprepared what did the email like in any way convey to you the horror that was going to be unleashed?
No, Jordan, no. It's just simple words to convey the horrors that we saw. No, and I don't even really recall the email because I was just like, what it could literally be anything. This is so vague that I can't get scared. And the fact that bears are my favorite animal and still are after what the horrors that I have seen means just the quality of work. I was always so impressed by every model I'd seen on the show, and then being able to see it up close. Rick Perry, you diabolical motherfucker, and you and your fabulous motherfucking team, motherfucking artists doing your motherfucking thing. I was so impressed. I just wanted to touch everything. There was like a little corner of grass in my little section that I would just like touch when I was like needed a little like my nervous tick. And I remember he said like, Rashawn, we pour this particular chemical on the thing and it has a reaction to make it stand up. And I was like, bro, I don't know what you said, but that is the coolest thing I ever heard in my life. And I believe he is from Whidbey Island in Washington, or has like folks come over and hang out and craft.
Lopez Island,
excuse me. Just like a sweetie was like, oh, I got to get to Lopez Island and see what you're cooking up in your house. It was so incredible. The fact that the elements like moved, the beating heart really got me.
Yeah.
Like the details that went into it, like the little, even on the neutral ass board, neutral, beautifully detailed board. There's nothing neutral about it, but there were like little lights that lit up, and the path of the blue going down the road, like things I didn't even notice. I could have stared at it for hours and hours and still not seen everything.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yeah, I've mentioned this before. I paused the episode when like the bear unfolded for the first time, and I was like, I'm gonna DM Rick Perry right now. I have never DM'd Rick Perry before, but I'm gonna ask him if he wants to chat about this.
My favorite, the shot from when the camera goes through the hole in the bear, like, oh my goodness, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Or when oh my god, the ancestral beings that like flayed off of Erica in that moment. I was just like, what? How did I get here?
Shout out Casey McGeorge and Raven Bartlett, an incredible like mini shoot season for just incredible work. I
want a whole series of behind the scenes, like how this got made.
Yeah, I mean that is basically what I've like turned my life into. I'm just like, all right, Kelsey Hunter made the heart. I'm gonna chat with her for 45 minutes about the heart. That set, like, Bria's talked about it a lot, that she is in like an arms race with really Brennan, but other DMs as well in the Dome. And I don't know that she won, but she certainly set a new level.
The internet, I haven't had a chance to meet Mr. Mercer, but Get ready, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I love being on the other side of this and just seeing like, I mean, it's pleasant for us because like, yeah, you guys fight all you want. I would love to look at all your art. I have no problem doing that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful time to be a nerd. And I'm
Yes.
so thankful that this is the time. And I'm exposing so much more of my friends and family to it. Like my dad, so sweet, such a cute little nerd, has been showing the trailer around. He works at Costco and he's a boss at Costco. So he can just show trailers to people. But he'll be like, you heard of Dimension 20, my daughter, she's on the show. It's kind of a big deal. Check it out.
I love that so much.
He's getting so many points in the community.
That's so incredible. Yeah, I know we've got more episodes to come that I have not seen. I have seen episode 6, though, which is the nuclear reactor map.
Yes.
I got an early screener, so I was watching on my computer instead of my TV, which is like a bummer but like I'm watching it, and I literally like Jasper's 14 to keep Jason from running into the dying in the pit. My headphones came out of my head because I was launched back out of like my body because I was like such an intense, and I don't think you've seen the episode yet. Like there is,
I know I'm doing this using my power.
Yes. There's a lot of editing that's happening around there. That, like they really draw the moment out. Like there's a moment where I thought they were ending the episode without revealing what the role was going to be. When he screams 14, and also like what an appropriate thing because Jasper got that like 14 earlier in the season that was like everyone celebrated.
So good. I do remember that day when Abria also passed out little versions of the map of the puzzle, and I believe it was Siobhan and Brennan who just solved it so fast. I was like, well, way to give us all a chance, you freaking nerds. Like I was like, I'm just in awe of this. Is it a brownie? Is it a reactor? I don't know. No, it's a puzzle, Rashawn. It's been solved. But it's a good one. Yeah. Again, shout out to this team. The way that they can, in the moment, as they're, I don't know how, if they storyboard after the fact of like, okay, this is all the material that we have, and how they edited it and how they just determine like who is pulling focus. I have to, again, a shout out to this team. Like they have to do so much to accommodate so much story, which is beyond me. I don't have the brain to sit down and analyze each frame, but again, they're amazing. And I can't wait for y'all to see there's more maps. And I've seen the preview
for next week, so I know the maps that I know the with the I assume cooling rods center of it. I've seen that map previewed, and I reached out to Shane Brockway who makes all the minis, and he was like, "You're gonna want to wait until episode 7, which is the next episode." And he's like, "You'll know if there's a wolf. You'll know it when you see it." And I was like, "Okay, Shane. All right." And so
it's some wild shit. I was just like, Abria, you're crazy. You girl, what kind of nightmares, what kind of dreams do you have? I would love to just sit down with you and make sure everything's okay. It was beautiful. And I can't wait for the end to relive it again, because in the moment it was just so fun, and then it was like over. When you do a play and you're like, oh, we're all going to be the best friends forever. And then everyone, goes back to their homes and does their things, and we still keep in contact. But it was, again, like, I feel like I did the most immersive devised theater I'd ever done in my life there.
Yeah. I would say this season does feel special in a bunch of ways, but I've talked to now some of the crew, like I said, Kelsey Hunter, and Raven Bartlett and Ash Shimkus and Rick Perry, and apparently prior to this they didn't not that they didn't celebrate the seasons, but they got together to do watch parties for this season, which is the first time that they as a small group had done that. So it does feel like you all created something very special, crew, cast, everyone really made it. incredible. It's curious, part of that beauty also then becomes like a very parasocial relationship from
Yes.
fans of like, I think one of the things that happens is because you all are experiencing creating a story together for the first time, it feels like we're also like creating a story with you, even though we don't have a hand in it, or at least we're learning the story as you all learn the story. It's not like a novel, or like it's not a singular world. Like Bennett has a family erased when Brennan asks like, is he down to smash? Right? Like, is that like that? Like things change because of everyone sitting at the table. I was wondering, like, what is it? How does the D20 fandom feel to you? Have you gotten that like weird love from them?
I wouldn't even call any of the love weird. I am honored that I can like come on the other side of just being like a lurker on the Discord for the last like 5 years. Like when I changed my name from like Lil Sprinkle to Rashawn, and everyone's like, no, she's Lil Sprinkle, she knows, she's a deep fan. I was like, thanks. But I re-downloaded Tumblr and I'm seeing everyone's like posts and stuff. And the fan art is, oh my gosh, that is the thing that really tugs at my heart, because I understand like what it takes to watch something you love and then, put your own spin on it, and to share that when you're not sure if the person who you drew will see it or if they care or anything. And I know, I want everyone to know that I've seen everything. I see all the tweets, I lurk, I'm creepy in the background, but I am so thankful for them, that they have like taken a shine to me, because that was a thing, a fear I had. I never thought that the community was toxic or anything like that, or they would dox me or whatever. Don't do that. I don't have anything going on. But I'm so glad that they have like welcomed me in, because that first episode I was a little scared of, like, okay, I've played D&D with my personal friends and they enjoy me, but they're my friends and they know me and they can, be like, Rashawn, you're being kind of annoying right now. But but being on this larger scale and seeing how I've connected with people, and I've been seeing like more people of color or Black women be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to watch this. I'm seeing myself represented. I'm seeing myself have fun and laugh and guffaw and snort and cry and go through all the emotions, the range of things, because we're not relegated to like one type of feeling or a one type of like view. I think just stylistically, we're all such different people, but the fact that we can come together at the table and tell this heartwarming story about family and struggle and survival, and still tolerate and love each other at the same time.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. I think D20
and world peace.
Yes. I think because D20 has like very consciously made choices about like making sure women of color are at the table. Like it feels, I always hope that the toxic elements of the fandom, I know they exist, but that they're small and get squished by the non-toxic elements. So it
totally. Because the 7, I'd been a fan, Fantasy High, watched it all, love me a Fabian Seacaster, all of them. Love Figure Faith, all of them. But then seeing all of these femme people at the table, being like, oh my gosh, there's 7 varieties of person. And they're also different, and they all love each other, and they argue, and that's fine, and they come together and they freaking love each other at the end of the day. And I just love the dynamics. Even in Pirates of the Leviathan, I was like, oh my gosh, all the Black people are here. This is amazing. I loved it. So just foot on the gas to drop out. Like you've got yourself in a great position to serve a lot of people, and a lot of people, there's a lot more people to love. And I have nothing but hope for them.
Yeah, I love hearing you say it, because then I'm like, all right, everything I do on the internet is worth it.
I would be like slowly scrolling. I've been watching your videos for a while, even before I knew I was on the show. Like I'd seen you come up in my FYP all the time.
Yeah,
you're famous, Jordan. You're famous.
Stop it.
You're
wild.
Famous.
I can't. It's such a weird experience. Like I describe it as being like a micro celebrity in a very niche environment. Like, it's like a handful of people know who I am, and that's very fun.
And that handful makes a fist, and I go, yeah, Jordan.
Thank you very much. You spent so much time with me. Thank you. This has been incredible. I have a pitch for you, and this is just a Dimension 20 at large. Ross Bryant DMs. I know that. Zach Reno is in his game. Jess McKenna for sure could do it. You obviously could do it. And then we just need to find like a fourth, and we can have like an Oops All Bards.
Yes.
Dimension 20 season. Like Sam, Carlos, Michael Schaubuck, like make it happen.
But if we do Oops All Bards, I would want like a full band.
Oh yeah.
That would be sick. And if it was like an intergalactic funk excursion, that would be like, mwah.
The people demand it. Get in the comments.
See you in the stars.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I've played one shots with Ross, because Ross and I are Chicago Second City like friends of the community, and Ross is freaking incredible. Everything that Ross touches, he don't miss. I'm telling you, he just does not miss. I've seen him perform improvised Shakespeare. I think the first show I ever saw in Chicago, because I was still like theater nerd, like, oh my god, I want to see Shakespeare. I saw him perform improvised Shakespeare, and I was like, how does his brain hold all those things? And then when he freestyle raps, he's a wordsmith. He's a human thesaurus. He's just got it. And even in his DM and music production, like he can just make music very easily, and it always sounds so good and funky. And I will always praise Ross to the day I die.
Yeah, I don't understand musical improv. I don't understand Shakespeare improv either. It's just like how your minds can do those things. Just like I'm glad at least though, like Shakespeare improv also makes you be like, how can you do that?
I used to have a teacher who she knew every line back and forth, like, and someone like improvised a line in class, and she stopped everything. It was like, absolutely not. That's not real. You cannot improvise in Shakespeare. It's set in this way. So it's very demanding craft, and they do it so well.
Yeah,
they really do.
Gosh, this has been such an absolute delight. The next time you're on Dropout, do you want to come chat with me about that? Because I would love to talk to you forever and ever and ever.
We can talk anytime that you want, Jordan.
You are the best. Thank you so much. If the people want to follow and see some behind the scenes pics that you have shared, or see you singing as Velma on Halloween, where can they find you on the internet?
They can find me at Rashawn Scott. That's on Twitter, on Instagram. I'm Rashawn N. Scott on TikTok, because I started at an account and then I don't remember what the password was, but I used my like username, but TikTok is just being weird. But I'm there. You can also check out Mystery County Monster Hunters Club, an actual play podcast that I started with my old DM group, and we're going into our 4th season, so please check that out if you can.
Yes, on all podcasting platforms.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts.
You need more Rashawn in your life, which everyone does. Go do that.
Come on,
amazing,
now, won't you?
Yeah. This was the best. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
I'm so excited for the rest of the season and the emotional wreckage that you will unleash upon me. So, thank you.
It's great. Cool.
And